last item, actually I had a couple more. Tom, if I could, the retirement funding deficit, could you find out the status of that information and when we might meet again on that?
I know the school.
Mr. Nelson was preparing some analytical data for us. And
my last response from Mr. Nelson was as of today. He has stated, as you read publicly, the $12,577 of accrued retiree savings, replacement hires. They're going to be putting that toward the retirement deficit. The remainder of that, they have not made any determination of how to resolve that.
can I get a copy of that?
Sure. I'll make copies for the board.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. And then you all received in your packet the information regarding the tax rate setting and tax classification. That's the only item on the agenda that evening? Okay.
That is, I'm sorry, that is identical to what we did last year, was have a separate night for the tax classification hearing. I'm also providing information during the week to the board members, another thing in your package today, to get you acclimated to it. And so you won't have everything during the Monday night. So as we continue to get material in, I'll be getting directly to your deal.
Okay. And so it covers the board members, in particular, if you haven't been through the tax classification or tax rate setting process, to contact Mr. Younger or myself or Mr. Dow or Dixon as the assessor. But try to become familiar with that process. It's a lot to take in, and so ask your questions. That is all I had. Mr. Vino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I only had one thing listed, and that was for Mr. Younger. On the police station, where are we?
The RFP has been issued. The due date on the RFP, that's for designer services, is December. It's December 19th. I'm just double checking that. December 19th.
Okay. And from there, we would be moving to
select a designer for the project.
Okay.
As you recall, Mr. Lee was not the designer
right
of the project. He was more of a consultant with a concept.
Right. Okay.
So they'll go through a whole designer, not
Right.
designer selection.
Designer
process.
selection. Yeah.
Right. So what they'll do is review the RFPs.
Yep.
Interview.
I just want to
interview,
really work. Yeah. It's okay.
Moving along, albeit slow.
There's also been a number of firms asking for them, so it's been pretty popular in the past.
Had a lot of activity.
A lot of activity.
Good. That's always good. Mr. Muldoon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't really have anything tonight either. In fact, I've been out of touch for several days, but I would like to at this time thank a number of people. I've been on a long and sometimes painful moving odyssey, and it is finally coming to an end at the end of this week. So I would like to thank my fellow selectmen for the understanding of
phone, man.
what we've gone through. And I'd like to thank Tom Younger and Linda Hamill and Karen Marlin for the assistance they've given me during this time, and personally the Bashes, the Geehees, Shevlins, Gallants, Raviolis, Pulowskis, and especially my wife, Lisa, who's made this bearable. Thank you.
Mr. Kelly.
Yeah. First thing, I guess I'd like to ask Mr. Younger if he could update us with about the Middlesex retirement assessment
Sure.
next year.
Actually, I'll be meeting with the representative of Middlesex Retirement on Monday. As say to the board, we are awaiting new figures from Middlesex Retirement, hopefully we'll get in early December for us to base our budget on. I'm anticipating that they'll be less than what they projected, but as I stated, this may only be a one-year respite of it, and it could end up seeing an increase again next year.
Delay of the inevitable.
Correct.
Can we, as part of that, I understand they'll give us the budget number, can they give us the unfunded liability as well?
We are meeting with them regarding all those issues effective Monday.
Because one of the things we try to do is do a set aside for future years. To try to plan for that, even though that may not work. For the next fiscal year, there are some things and events that in the fiscal year following it may be possible.
I really believe that we should be proactive on that, because right now that, similar to health insurance, could be one of our budget busters. And it's not good to be caught short on that one, because it is something that you must pay. It's not something that isn't optional.
Comes right up the top, if you will.
Well, I just think Mr. Younger should be committed. I know he, along with some other town administrators, are proactive in that role of getting together with the Middlesex Retirement Assessment, not just accepting the numbers. So I just wanted to thank Mr. Younger for that. I also wanted to commend the voters of North Reading for, I believe it was 77% turnout in the last election. We haven't met since November 5th. And again, I think it's great to see all the people that did get out and take advantage and to have their voices be heard. Also, last week I went to a meeting of the Elementary School Building Committee, and they expressed, some members of the committee expressed an interest in moving some of the associate members up to full voting members because of the length of time they put in, and had asked that we try to work out a joint meeting with the school committee in order to do that. So I just wanted to inform the chairman of that.
I haven't heard from anyone on that, but.
Yeah, well, that's what they expressed to me at the last meeting. And that they are basically in the, it was said that they're in the same position timeline-wise as they were a year ago in regards to looking at costs and plans and so forth for the batch elder, which is what they're concentrating on now. They were in that same position at this time last year in preparation of April town meeting. And last year they were actually, I guess, doing two projects at the same time when they were looking at the batch and the 5-section Swan Pond School. So, you know, they didn't come out and say that, but I guess if they were able to do that last year, then maybe there's some hope that that can move forward this year towards April town meeting with the batch, so that I heard the superintendent talking about the timeline to stay at the current reimbursement rates. So hopefully if the timeline's the same, they'd have something ready. That wasn't expressed that was the plan, but maybe if we look at that in terms of reimbursement, that hopefully something could be done with that. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Cal. Mrs. Dale.
Yep, just a couple of things. When you meet with the retirement board, if they're not already, if they, I guess, go into the unfunded liability issue, if they can do a schedule of assessments for what increases over the next, 2, 3, 5 years, then we could, so same idea. And I guess I was wondering, I talked about from our correspondence last week, some changes in the senior exemption for 41D and the work abatement program. Are we going to get that on the agenda at some time in the near future? There were increases now allowed by the state that if we wanted to put them for.
Those are a vote at town meeting, is that?
Yeah, so I know it's not urgent because it's a vote at town meeting, but I just want to make sure it doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
And I have that in our April town meeting files, so when we present items for April, I can bring it up earlier, but generally those are in.
It might have some impact on the budget, on revenue numbers too, that we might want guesstimate.
Sure. Why don't you know what, Tom, why don't you put it on the next or the following agenda?
Sure, I can put it on the first
Make
meeting
it,
in
make
December.
it, yeah, and get a copy of policy.
It was in the correspondence
Oh,
if you
okay.
asked for it.
So get a copy to every board member, Tom, and put it on a future agenda, and let's have the discussion, and then, you know, I agree with you, it's not urgent, but let's build it into the process, and make sure the board's in concurrence that we want to put it on the April warrant, so we could do that. That'd be great.
And I guess lastly, and briefly, not necessarily business for the board, but I wanted to just say a word about volunteers in North Reading, and in both the personal community and the business community. I had the opportunity Friday night to attend a wonderful event that was sponsored by the Hood School Parents Association for, it was an auction, and it raised a great deal of money in a short time. And I think overall the efforts of volunteers across North Reading really do a lot to enhance our quality of life in the town. And I would like to thank all the volunteers, both for schools, organizations like CCS, and all the volunteering that gets done around holiday time. It's sincerely appreciated, as well as the business community who makes many seen and unseen donations throughout the town. And you know, Friday night was just an obvious crystallization of that fact, and that all that goes through on a voluntary basis and out of the goodness of the hearts of the people and the businesses of this town. And I would just like to thank them, and hope everyone's recognized and thanked for their efforts. If you see everyone around town, it really enhances our community. That's all.
I actually had, actually one more thing to make sure that everyone on the board is cognizant, excuse me, that the last school committee meeting, they discussed having, there's a meeting, I think, this Wednesday.
Tuesday. Oh, yeah, it was good.
This Wednesday, I think.
Yeah,
It's this Wednesday
Yeah, the 20th.
to discuss the vote on the middle school, high school projects, and to see what next steps, if any, might be taken. One of the items that will be discussed at that meeting is whether or not they would be desirous of having a special election. So we should all be cognizant of that and thinking about it. There's no, but that's as much as I know. I think there's a lot of questions to answer to find out why those projects failed. But I did hear that they may want a joint meeting with the board, so I want the board to be, based on the outcome of that meeting on Wednesday, so I want the board to be cognizant of that. Sorry, I forgot that in my earlier comments. Mr. Younger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, regarding our monthly review of building permit fees, in October, we came in $3,500 less than last year, though we are still approximately $3,500 above last year for the first 4 months of the year. November, December, January are usually our lowest in building permit fees. I'm not anticipating those to drop below the November, December months. Those are average about $4,000 a month. I'm not anticipating those dropping. So we're above target right now, and that's, hopefully we'll continue that for the rest of the fiscal year. Next, as we're looking at reduced savings, the meeting met with Mr. Hanlon, and regarding the recycling center, we will be suspending for the winter, effectively December 7th, the compost and used oil collection programs there. As you're aware, Christmas trees are now being picked up, trash disposal pickup, so we don't.
But that'll be on specified days.
Right, on specified days.
When is that information going to be made available?
That should be
public?
made